Hi, Eric from Volta Power Systems here. Let's do a quick review on how to properly store your Volta-equipped vehicle. Before we talk about storage, we need to set the table a little bit and review how to do the simplest step, which is turning the system on and off. Since when it comes to storage, a big step is ensuring that the Volta system is, in fact, off before walking away. So how do you turn the system on? Well, there's two ways. First, you have to locate the Volta push button, then press the push button. The system will start up and you'll be able to power your 110 volt and your 12 volt devices. You'll know the system is on because of the LED light, which is most likely going to be green, that's located on the push button. Now, the other way to turn the Volta system on is to plug into shore power. After connecting to a good shore power source, the system will wake up and turn on just as if you had pressed the Volta push button. In this scenario, the LED on the push button will begin flashing green instead of a solid green, but more about this in a moment. Okay, then how do you turn the Volta system off? Well, you may have guessed it, but you have to press the Volta push button again. There's no reason to ever hold the push button down. So after pressing the push button, the button will flash a few times and initiate a shutdown, and then the LED light will turn off. Now, the second way is to unplug from shore power if you previously turned on via shore power. Remember, if you're plugged into shore power, you cannot turn off the Volta system. And a final reminder, this push button LED is your indicator to tell you if your Volta system is on or off. Do not rely on the touchscreen. The touchscreen will go to sleep if unused, so please don't think, yep, the touchscreen is off, so Volta must be off. Always check the push button. So I mentioned a moment ago the scenario of when you plug into shore power and the system turns on with a flashing green light on the Volta push button. Well, that flashing green light means that you are in shore power mode. So let's review what this mode is and how it factors into how you store your system. So what is shore power mode? Well, Volta introduced this mode to create a feature that is ideal for keeping your Volta system charged, warm, and your systems on, for example, your refrigerator, in between trips that are maybe only a few days apart. This mode also protects from accidental losses of shore power. So, for example, if you're away from the coach for a couple days and you experience a power outage, instead of losing shore power and Volta staying on and then slowly losing charge, it will shut down as soon as shore power is lost, conserving that charge. So then how do you activate shore power mode? Well, there's two ways. First, if Volta is off, then simply plug into shore power. The system automatically turns on and enters shore power mode, indicated by that flashing green LED on the push button. Secondly, you can toggle shore power mode on or off by pressing the Volta push button whenever shore power is connected. It will toggle between solid green or flashing green. Again, that flashing green indicates shore power mode is active. So overall, while in shore power mode, everything works normally, except for when you unplug from shore. If shore power mode is active and you lose that shore power, Volta shuts down. Okay, now that we've provided some background, let's actually define Volta's recommendations for how you store the system. First, we need a definition, and we define short-term storage as any time you plan to store the system for 2 weeks or less. If you plan on storing for longer than 2 weeks, the strategy changes slightly. More on that in a moment. So what's the best method for storing Volta in most scenarios? Well, it's always best to keep it simple and simply unplug from shore power and turn the Volta system off by pressing the Volta push button and then verifying everything does in fact turn off. But let's say you don't want to turn everything off. Well, remember, because if you unplug and turn off Volta, well, you just turned off all your devices, all your systems. And what if you have ice cream in your refrigerator? Well, if Volta is off, your ice cream is going to melt. Well, in this case, you should use shore power mode. As described previously, plug into shore, then toggle shore power mode by pressing the Volta push button until you see a flashing green LED. Now finally, if you are using shore power mode for this short-term storage method, you must still check on the system. At most, do not exceed 2 weeks while in shore power mode between doing these system checks. There are simply too many variables. Maybe you accidentally left the Volta system on instead of in shore power mode. Maybe the system got too hot to charge or too cold to charge. Maybe you tripped over the cord and unplugged it slightly. There's power outages, tripped GFCIs. Simply put, things can happen that cause you to lose shore power. So just because you connected to shore power and entered shore power mode, it doesn't mean you don't need to check on the system often. Shore power mode protects from some of these scenarios, but for everything else, you as the owner of the Volta system are the best source of protecting the system and storing it properly. So please check on the system at least every 2 weeks. We've reviewed short-term storage strategies, but there will likely be times that you need to be away from the Volta-equipped vehicle for longer than a couple weeks. And this is where our long-term storage strategies come into play. So first, we define long-term storage as any storage duration that's longer than 2 weeks and up to a maximum of 90 days. So again, similar to what I've stated before, what's the best way to store the system? Well, unplug it and turn the system off. That's the best for storage. We often think we're only a couple days from our next trip or our next adventure, so you may want to keep the system turned on or plugged in, but life happens, and sometimes what you thought might only be a couple days before your next trip can turn into a couple weeks or even a month or longer. So when in doubt, just unplug the system and turn the system off, and then you can walk away knowing that the system will not lose charge. But what's the longest you can go without checking on the Volta system and storage? Well, that would be 90 days. But if you're going to do that, we have a few requirements. First, you need to charge the Volta system to above 70% charge as indicated on the Volta state of charge gauge. Can you charge it to 100% and then walk away? Absolutely, but at a minimum, charge it up to at least 70%. Second, unplug and turn off, like I said previously. Check the push button LED light and verify that everything has turned off. Third, document the date and that state of charge and set a reminder for yourself to come back to the coach at that 90-day mark. When you do come back, if the system has dropped below 70%, charge it back to at least 70% again, and then you can repeat the previous steps and come back again after another 90 days. Now remember, putting Volta system into storage at less than 70%, or if you leave it for longer than 90 days without checking on the system, that can void the Volta warranty. So please follow these steps for long-term storage. One final note on proper storage of your Volta-equipped vehicle in hot or cold temperatures. Volta's minimum storage temperature is negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 40 degrees Celsius. Do not store below this temperature. Volta's maximum storage temperature is 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius. Storing above or below these temperatures may result in loss of performance or a shortened life expectancy of the Volta energy storage pack. If you are still in need of support or help, contact your vehicle manufacturer. They are step one in assisting with any issues on your vehicle. Visit the Volta support website at www.voltapowersystems.com/support. Here you'll find more user documentation, how-to videos, and frequently asked questions. You can also contact Volta technical support at 616-226-4222, option 1. If we don't answer right away, please leave us a detailed message and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. I hope this information is helpful, and thanks for listening from Volta Power Systems.